Okay, here we are again. We're back in the polytunnel. It's pretty hot, but we just wanted to show you one or two little bits which you might not actually do yourself, because if you haven't got a polytunnel or a greenhouse, it might not be totally relevant, but there might be little bits in here which will be helpful. So what we're going to do is look at how you plant and support tomatoes, but the first point, the starting point, is getting some nutrient into the soil, water holding, and we've got some pretty dry manure now. Actually, it's been left a little bit too long, but if you're just spreading that, and the problem I have with the organic matter in the polytunnel is that I find I can't do no dig very easily, because no dig relies on you putting the compost or the manure actually on the surface, and obviously in here it dries out incredibly quickly. If it's drying out, that means it's not releasing the nutrients that's in it, and that's not feeding the plants. So I end up with a kind of, it's not even a hybrid, it is kind of digging, unfortunately. It should be a little bit thinner than that perhaps. So it's a kind of chopping, just to mix it in, and so that when it is watered, the nutrients that are in there are going to be available to the plants. Worms in there don't stand a chance. Sorry, worms. Anyway, that's what we have to do with the preparation, get the organic matter in. So if we move on to the other side, where it's been beautifully prepared already. Well, it's actually still a little bit rough, but it's okay. And to support the plants, you will probably be using canes, and maybe against a wall or something like that. The tomatoes themselves, there are two different kinds. There's hardy ones, which tend to be quite small and bushy, and these which are trained up strings, or perhaps for you up the canes. These single stemmed ones tend to be hothouse tomatoes, so they do need warmth and protection, which is why obviously we're growing them in the polytunnel. Okay, so the support for these is a string, and I've had a bit of an issue with the string, which is quite entertaining, because I don't like using plastic, so I want to use this kind of natural string. And first thing, of course, is that we've got wires up. I need something to tie it to. Just making a little loop. That's just at that end, and then that one. I'll just move this one out of the way so I can show you. Just slots over there, got the loop, feed it back through, and there we are. Now that's lovely, except that it is a natural fibre, and as soon as it's in contact with the soil for any length of time, it rots. And so you say, well, why don't you use the polypropylene string, like this stuff, this blue stuff? I've used this before. Now the problem with that, when it's in the soil, it doesn't rot, that's great, but when it's not in the soil, it rots. So in the sunlight, it just breaks up. Absolutely useless. So I'm trying to do a little combination of them both, and I've got some orange so it stands out a little bit easier. So this is the bit, how complicated can you make this, honestly? This is the bit which is going to go in the ground, this is the bit which is going to stay out of the ground, and we just need to join the two up. This is actually slightly long, isn't it? So I'll just take the end off this. Just join the two together, and now we can put the tomato in. Now this one I've just done, of course, is in the wrong place, because I'm putting only 2 tomatoes in per section of the polytunnel. This is being very generous, actually. You'd normally put them in closer than that. So let's look at this one I've done already. Got a bit of the plastic string on the bottom. And we'll just go through the procedure. Planting the tomato. This is, it's a large tomato. So it's supposed to be black, but of course with tomatoes they never are the colour they say. This is a brown version. Not that attractive, but it's a great flavour. So, okay, so we got the spacing, in this case probably about 60 centimetres. Like I say, that's really quite generous. Think of a grow bag. In a grow bag you normally put 3, or you're supposed to anyway. Here we go. Hand over the pot, give it a little tap. Not bad roots, in fact that's probably just about perfect. Not too pot bound, but the roots are filling the compost. Spacing, I'm sending the string into the middle a little bit. So just parting the soil as much as anything else, and then laying the string over the hole. The plant goes on top of the string, and you can see rubbish. The string becomes taut. Fill in around, firm it down, and we'll water it in a moment. Ding, 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 ding. Lovely. And because there's all this space, we can use that space for other things. And what we've got, perhaps a little basil. So some little basil plants. They like the same conditions as tomatoes. Some people even consider them to be a companion plant. So just down here, it's quite a small plant. Fairly rough soil. That's great. And a little bit further back, I'm actually alternating them. It's just how it's turning out. I'm using a companion plant. This is for the flowers and for the scent of the foliage. This is something called Tagetes tenuifolium. In other words, a kind of small flowered marigold. Tiny plant, and it will be the next one to go in. So we're just alternating them around about here. That's lovely. That'll do for all of that, and then we just finish off with a drop of water. I'm less worried about how the rose fits for these as opposed to when we were looking at the seed trays. Face it down and go around the plants. One big advantage of growing plants under cover is that you can water the amount you want and, I was going to say, keep it off the leaves. There we are. Anyway, there we are. So you can get little bits out of that, like the companion planting, and the fact that the tomatoes will need support. I didn't say, incidentally, that these tomatoes will be twined. They don't naturally twine. You would actually help them around the string or the cane. If it's a cane, you could do that, or you can tie them to it. It's easier just to go around the string, and it holds perfectly well. When it reaches the top, then, well, you're supposed to stop it then, but it can go either way. You can even send it over that way if you wanted to. Life is full of so many possibilities. Thank you very much.